The document is a scripted, dramatic first-person revenge tale in the popular HOA Karma or Neighbor from Hell video genre. It's almost certainly fictional, designed for YouTube or similar platforms to rack up views through outrage, patriotism, and satisfying justice. Stories like this recycle the same formula. A heroic veteran, often deployed, grieving family legacy, returns to find a cartoonishly evil HOA president has stolen their land through fraud, only for the protagonist to uncover a forgotten legal technicality. Here, subsurface/mineral rights bought by grandfather in 1963. That lets them flip the script and destroy the villain's empire. The narrative builds with escalating harassment, community awakening, dramatic public confrontation, FBI arrest and handcuffs, and a wholesome ending of restored land, reformed HOA, scholarships, marriage, and helping other veterans. Names like Staff Sergeant Ezra Thornfield, Vivian or Vivin, Ashworth, Willowmere, Willower, Willowmar Estates, and details like the 1,500-acre ranch, family cemetery desecration, forged tax docs, $47 million subsurface rights valuation, veteran convoy, Bridge Club spy network, and poisoned oak tree appear in multiple near-identical videos across channels. These are content mill productions, often AI-assisted scripts or human-written templates, optimized for emotional hooks, disrespect to veterans, petty tyranny, embezzlement, sabotage, cut fences killing a cow, fake DUI, brake lines cut, and triumphant catharsis, handcuffs clicking, motorcycles roaring, standing ovation. The outro with calls to drop a flag emoji, share HOA nightmares like /subscribe is textbook engagement bait for algorithm farming. Legally, it's pure fantasy stretched far beyond reality. While mineral/subsurface rights can be severed from surface rights, common in resource-heavy states, courts don't typically let one person force 50 luxury homes to be demolished or relocated over a foundational rights claim without massive equitable barriers. Good faith purchasers, estoppel, latches, title insurance defenses. SCRA protections for deployed service members exist, extra foreclosure safeguards, but they don't create retroactive super leverage to void sales and seize developments. HOA improper incorporation or ultra vires acts can invalidate fees/rules, but not trigger instant dissolution and mass payouts. The rapid escalation to federal crimes. Instant FBI raid during a community meeting, Swiss accounts frozen overnight, and tidy $8. $2 million discounted settlement are Hollywood, not courtroom. Real veteran/HOA disputes happen, e.g., homes foreclosed while deployed, driveway battles, and nuisance fines, but none match this scale, mineral rights twist, or cinematic resolution. No news articles, court cases, or public records back up Ezra Thornfield or this exact plot. It's entertainment, a power fantasy for anyone who's dealt with abusive HOAs or just loves underdog stories with a little guy, backed by military honor and paperwork. Crushes the entitled elite. If you're asking to rewrite it without headings, the original has none anyway. It's continuous prose with paragraph breaks. Or, to expand/contract it, here's a cleaned, flowing version with no artificial section breaks. Tightened slightly for readability while preserving the full dramatic arc and voice. By the time Vivian built her criminal empire on my stolen ranch, I already owned the mineral rights beneath every mansion in her development. But let me back up. Picture this. I'm dodging mortars in Eastern Europe, serving my country, when I get a call that makes my blood run cold. Some HOA, which named Vivian, has legally sold my grandfather's ranch. 1,500 acres of prime American soil that's been in my family since 1892, the same land where my Purple Heart grandfather is buried. Sold for pennies on the dollar while I'm bleeding for freedom overseas. I come home to the sound of gravel crunching under surveyor boots, watching strangers stake out my family cemetery. Vivian thought she'd stolen everything from a broken veteran who couldn't fight back. What she didn't know was that Grandpa had left me one final gift buried in those 1960s property documents. Legal ownership of the ground beneath 50 luxury homes worth $47 million combined. What would you do if you came home to find your inheritance stolen? This is how one veteran turned an HOA land grab into the most expensive property lesson these thieves ever received. My name is Staff Sergeant Ezra Thornfield, a third-generation rancher who just spent 18 months keeping the peace in Eastern Europe. While I was dodging bullets and missing my grandfather's funeral, some HOA vulture was circling my inheritance like a hungry buzzard. The Thornfield Ranch, 1,500 acres of rolling hills, pristine pastures, and the clearest spring-fed lake this side of the Rocky Mountains. Grandpa built this place from nothing after World War II, using his GI Bill and Purple Heart pension. Every fence post driven by weathered hands that knew real work. Every barn beam cut from our own timber. This wasn't just property. It was 3 generations of American blood, sweat, and tears. The ranch borders an exclusive development called Willowmere Estates. 50 lakefront mansions where tech executives and trust fund babies pay $200,000 to $500,000 for the privilege of living next to real America. These people have never worked a day of honest labor, but they sure know how to complain about the smell of cattle and the sound of roosters at dawn. I pull into my driveway after that nightmare flight from Germany, expecting familiar pastures. Instead, I'm hit with fresh surveyor paint marking century-old oak trees like death sentences. Bright orange sold signs stab into my family's soil like daggers. Surveyors with clipboards map my land, driving stakes through Grandpa's prized rose garden, where crushed petals now mix with diesel fuel. 800 acres gone, allegedly sold to the Willowmere HOA for $2. $3 million. Robbery at $2,875 per acre for land worth at least $8,000. My savings, $247. My remaining 700 acres suddenly under unexplained development restrictions. They'd even fenced off our family cemetery. The chain link rattling in the wind around my grandfather's fresh grave still haunts my dreams. That's when I meet Vivian Ashworth. Picture every nightmare HOA president rolled into one perfectly coiffed package. 52 years old, white Mercedes G-Wagon worth more than most people's annual salary, measures grass height with an actual ruler. She's filed 47 HOA violation complaints in the past year alone. Standing in my driveway wearing a smirk that could curdle milk, military housing allowance doesn't cover property taxes. Does it, soldier boy? She shoves forged documents at me. Papers claiming tax delinquency my bank records prove never existed. Your grandfather should have planned better, she says, adjusting designer sunglasses that cost more than my monthly combat pay. This is what happens when military families think they're above civic responsibility. I'm standing there in my uniform, fresh off 18 months defending her freedom, and this parasite lectures me about patriotism. The irony burns like tear gas. Leave our property immediately, or I'll have you arrested for trespassing, she threatens, speed dialing what I assume is her personal sheriff. Divorce lawyers and legal fees had drained my savings to $247. The local attorney, Vivian's golf partner, couldn't take my case due to conflicts. County clerk's office lost all original records. Bank claimed no record of automatic tax payments I'd set up religiously. Watching strangers stake out Grandpa's grave, I made a silent promise. Vivian had no idea who she was messing with. Something about Grandpa's knowing smile and old photos suggested he'd left me more than just land. Military training teaches patience, strategy, finding enemy weak points. She was about to learn why you never mess with a combat veteran's family legacy. Vivian wasn't content with stealing my land. She wanted to destroy my reputation too. Within 48 hours, she filed a restraining order claiming I'd threatened her with military-style violence. Complete fabrication, but the local judge rubber-stamped it without hearing my side. Suddenly, I'm banned from half my own county. She installed military-grade cameras pointed at my remaining property, recording my every move. Neighborhood app posts about aggressive veteran behavior and concerning PTSD episodes. She hosted community safety meetings about undesirable elements. The smell of her expensive perfume couldn't mask the stench of her bigotry as she orchestrated my character assassination. But Vivian underestimated military intelligence training. While she played social media games, I played chess. Grandpa once told me, when politicians lie, the truth is in the paperwork they hope you'll never find. I drove 200 miles to state archives, spending my last $47 on gas and parking. Dusty basement files held treasures. Original 1892 land grant, Grandpa's Purple Heart citations, and proof my property was never delinquent. Every payment documented, redirected through a one-digit clerical error. The county assessor who approved the emergency sale lived in a $340,000 mansion at 47 Willowmere Drive. Convenient. Vivian's greed became her downfall. The sale happened 30 days before the legal minimum wait. Her rush created a paper trail screaming fraud. Armed with evidence, I expected justice. Instead, she doubled down, hired a PI to dig into my divorce and deployment. Local paper painted me as troubled, editor's wife at 23 Willowmere Drive. Noise complaints every time I started my tractor, deputies citing me for disturbing peace with my own cattle, citation for fixing my own fence. Her masterpiece, surveyor stakes driven through Grandpa's rose garden at 3 a.m., destroying 60-year-old plants. Security footage showed HOA groundskeeper acting on orders. Confronted, she said coldly, those roses were encroaching on community property. We have standards. Among crushed petals and diesel fumes, I realized this wasn't about money. It was about power. She'd picked the wrong veteran. Vivian hired the state's most expensive law firm, $800 per hour. Served me with a $500,000 lawsuit claiming I'd weaponized my cattle against innocent homeowners. I contacted military legal aid. A crusty JAG officer connected me with Sarah Chun, a pro bono property rights attorney specializing in HOA abuse. Digging revealed the HOA never properly incorporated, operating illegally for 3 years, collecting fees without authority. Better yet, Vivian's landscaping company got a $180,000 beautification contract the month they acquire my property. She paid herself with my inheritance money. Sarah filed to dismiss all HOA actions. In court, her $800 per hour attorney squirmed, explaining his client was essentially a criminal organization. Vivian called an emergency meeting to retroactively approve everything with 12 of 50 homeowners present. Desperation reeked stronger than the stale coffee. Then the bombshell. Margaret Clearwater, a retired teacher grieving her husband's death, found original 1965 covenants in her attic prohibiting land acquisition beyond the original 50 lots. Vivian's purchase violated the HOA's own bylaws. Ultra Vires Acts, void from the start. Tom Bridgewater uncovered $89,000 missing from pool funds, flowing to Vivian's company for overpriced or non-existent work. The pool, algae thick enough to walk on, broken systems, duct-taped diving boards. At the next meeting, residents demanded answers. Vivian hired security guards, scheduled votes during work hours, threatened lawsuits for misinformation. Margaret stood. Vivian, I've lived here longer than you've been alive. This is about a board member stealing from neighbors. Applause shook the windows. Sarah discovered the killer detail in 1960s records. Original landowners sold only surface rights, subsurface, mineral foundation support, retained and bought by my grandfather in 1963 for $500. All 50 homes sat on property I now owned. Relocation cost, $12 to $15 million. Or, buy the rights from me, $45 million appraised. Home values crashed. Moving trucks appeared. Title insurance balked. Vivian's empire crumbled. We assembled a team. Forensic accountant tracing $340,000 embezzled. Military property attorney, real estate expert. Evidence, forged docs, different ink. Financial patterns, sabotage videos. Margaret's Bridge Club intel revealed Vivian's Swiss account with $2. $3 million, the exact sale price. Veterans convoy from 4 counties arrived. Purple Heart recipients ready to witness justice. Options offered: return land plus damages, buy subsurface rights, or face evacuation and prosecution. Vivian sabotaged. Crack my well? anonymous false reports, fake DUI plant, actor impersonating me starting fights, cut fences killing grandpa's prize cow, brake lines cut, poison memorial oak. But every act strengthened our conspiracy case. FBI froze her accounts. She planned to flee to Switzerland. Final trap, community meeting. Veteran perimeter formed. Vivian strutted in, offered to sell back 400 acres for $1. $2 million if I dropped everything. Margaret played her recorded confession, bragging about forging docs. FBI agent Rodriguez stepped forward. Vivian Ashworth, you're under arrest. Handcuffs clicked amid cheers. She screamed about conspiracies as deputies led her away. She got 5 years federal prison plus $2. $1 million restitution. County assessor lost pension, served 2 years. Within months, 1,500 acres restored. New HOA under Margaret and Tom. Transparent, no secret deals. I sold subsurface rights at 20% below market, $8. $2 million over 10 years, 0 interest. Built new house overlooking cemetery, replanted roses. Married the librarian who helped research. Adopted 2 kids whose Marine dad died in Afghanistan. Ranch became veteran retreat. Thornfield Veteran Scholarship Fund from settlement. Funded 47 students so far. Case became law school precedent protecting military families. Last week a Marine sergeant called. City seizing his farm via eminent domain. Sir, I heard what you did. I told him to pack documents and get ready for war. Justice isn't finished yet. Some battles end with surrender. Others end with victory. So complete the enemy's defeat liberates everyone else. This is what happens when David doesn't just beat Goliath. He teaches every other David how to use a slingshot.